All right, so welcome everybody. It's really awesome to see so many of you here this evening. This is now our third Conversation Cafe. It's a new platform that we decided to try to interview people who have coached and who understand, the three principal style of coaching that I do. And moving into this new way of thinking rather than the old-fashioned way of, we've got to be gripped and we've got to work all these hard hours and we've got to have 10, 12, 14 and 16 hours days to be successful. And, most people that come to coaching have that idea from the old paradigm of personal development, and you all here, which means that you're all into personal development and personal growth, and that's all incredible. But we know that there are new ways of doing things, and we understand from so many new teachings and new ways of being and neuroscience and in neurolinguistic programming and all those things, that we can actually have a much easier ride doing life. So what I did was, there were a couple of people that I chatted to and invited to share their stories because they had such compelling stories. And I was absolutely right, because this morning Deveshni shared hers and it was spectacular. We've had an incredible response in the last couple of hours, just sharing it on social. And I wanted to invite JP because JP has been coaching with me. We finished probably about 2-3 months ago, JP, and we started last year. I think you've been coaching almost close to a year. It went on for about a year, maybe 10 or so months. And the transformation in JP was palpable. It was incredible to watch. JP was one of those clients that just showed up every time. He just accepted everything. He looked at everything. He researched everything. He understood it after a while. And then when he started to really integrate it into his life, I just saw the growth in him was, through the roof, absolutely through the roof. Until the end of his coaching, what he was saying was so wise, and words and understandings that he was sharing with me were so incredible. And I really wanted him to get on this call so that everyone could hear it, those that were interested. So JP lives in Denver in the US, and he's originally from Peru, correct? Correct. And so he's got this gorgeous smoky accent that I know you're going to enjoy, because I love listening to him talk. And he's married, and he has a daughter who lives in New York, and he's got a little girl now that lives with him and his wife in JP, and she's just 2.5. So, nice broad spectrum of ages that he's dealing with at the moment. And JP is going to tell you so much more about himself. So JP, I think from my side, that's it. And, I'd love to hand over to you. And just maybe one other thing, JP and I met maybe 3 or 4 years ago in Greece, of all places. Am I right? Or did we meet here first? Yes, we met in Greece.
Yeah.
I was working in Greece at the time. I was coaching in Greece. And JP was visiting, and that's how we got connected. And then a couple of years later, he started coaching. So JP, let me hand over to you, and maybe you can give us a bit of a backstory about who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for taking the time to have a candid chat. Thank you. Really, I'm honored. Well, first of all, I would like to excuse myself for my accent. Some people might have a little bit of difficulty following, and please ask me if you don't understand. The background on that is that I grew up in Peru, lived in Miami for about 25 years, and married to a South African who has a British and Afrikaans accent, and I have 2 American daughters. So I'm a little bit of mix there that still hasn't found the right way. But anyway, saying that, I work in branding and communication strategy. That's my what I do with my team. I have a background on graphic design. That's what I got a degree on. Yeah, my journey has been from really, well, there's a long story, but to make the story short about, what we are talking with Sharon is I came from a place of working hard all the time and long hours to my own detriment and to the cost of relationships and family and etc., spending less time with them, all driven by the noble cause of, okay, well, I have to provide for my family and I have to work hard, and that's what we men do, and all of those ideas are not that self-serving. There are other ways that we can do things without affecting our health and our relationships. So
Right.
that's what I can share to start with.
Yeah, well, absolutely. JP, if you wouldn't mind me sharing, I think on your first 1 or 2 calls, I remember how exhausted you were, and how you conveyed that to me, that you felt like you weren't sleeping enough. There was just so much overwhelm. You had a very busy mind. There was just so many things going on, and you were running your business, and you had this family, and there were so many things going on for you. And I remember at the end, when we sort of assessed your coaching, how far removed you were from that original person. You were completely transformed. You were like a new character. Oh.
Yeah, I would say, many people use being changed. I think I was, like Sharon was saying, transformed into a better version of myself, right? I was very, I was stressed out with all sorts of responsibilities, work, clients. I wasn't exercising at all, not taking any time for myself. And we have a baby, right? So it's sometimes, disrupted nights and giving her attention and all of those things that were, it's a lovely thing, but and it's a blessing, but I was exhausted, basically exhausted. And not only by the things that I was doing and the amount of things that I was doing, but my mind was exhausted by the amount of thinking I was doing, which is, So that part too was something that came up later, right? That my mind was so busy about preempting scenarios, thinking the worst, all these responsibilities, thinking about all of them at the same time. That was overwhelming. It was overwhelming and exhausting.
And JP, I think what you spoke about is a global thing. How men have this idea, like, because I have to provide for my family, because I'm the one that must take on the major part of the responsibility, I have an obligation to work hard, because that's the way that we've all been conditioned, male and female, but so much more for men. I know, because I've seen it, in my family, in my community, in my culture, in my, from my family of origin as well. I've come from a long line of hard workers. We've got to get it right. And there's all of these things. And there's this idea and the expectation that it's this much, or it's this number, or it looks like this. And we buy into that paradigm that we are fed. And the personal development world has given us beautiful things, but it's also tainted what we know now to be true, that we have everything we already need. And this journey, I was saying this morning, is really very little about getting, and a lot about letting go for what really needs to show up. So, JP, I'd love for you to, maybe just give us some little pointers of what your day used to look like, where this overwhelm was happening for you, and how you just couldn't see the wood for the trees? What was the sort of cycle you went through on a daily basis? Because I'm sure we could relate to that for those of us that are new on the journey.
Okay. First of all, it's sleep deprivation, right? I was sleeping 5 hours, 6 hours, disrupted sleep because of the baby, and going to bed late because I was working late. Yeah, my day. I mean, I can go into the details of it, of my day back then, but if I may, comparing nowadays, I have more responsibilities. We have, as a team, we have more clients. We have grown as a team too. We are more now, but I have not even a third or a quarter of the pressure that I used to feel back then. And it was plenty going on in my head, right? It was being worried about, having fears, having this very tunnel vision about, okay, well, this is what I have to do. I'm not of the idea at all that men must provide and women should just nothing at all. At all. We have friends that have the completely reverse or opposite setup, where the wife is the one that is the breadwinner, and it's great. Nothing wrong with any of that. I think it goes to both sides of a partnership or genders, where just that mindset of I must work hard, right? And I must over deliver, and I must all of those things, and also has a link with some of the cultural context where you are, right? In this case, I mean, I love America in many ways, but we also have a culture of work, not everybody, but the majority, I would say, and companies, the majority, not everybody. Like I said, I have been or seen clients that they have a very healthy setup, but it's very common to see that drive. We, culturally speaking, we America, we move all the time. We work. we don't stop for even lunch. We eat lunch at our desk, or if we are driving, drive through. Okay, the burger up, and we keep driving and going, right? Because it's America is on the go, right? So
and of course we've all modeled ourselves on America in a style, because they've always been the market leaders, and the economies, and we've tried to copy those, and so it's not stood us in good stead. And one thing that I remember just now, JP, was the amount of news you used to consume, news items and newspapers and current affairs. Do you want to talk to that a little bit, because I think that would be interesting to hear as well.
Yeah, I had the idea, right? The idea that I had to be up to date with current affairs, right? And whatever was happening, and with our leadership here, it's being a roller coaster at points, right? So what is the latest? What is happening? What is who said what, and etc. And it was. Let's say, thinking of, I must know and I must be up to date with what is going on. But at the same time, it is a bit toxic, if you are hearing about, and your mind has a certain capacity of absorbing information in a day, right? And if you take that space with news about people that you don't know, or but it's too much. It's overwhelming. Your mind starts thinking about how can they solve that problem, and all these other things that it's too much. And I was consuming like at least an hour of news every day.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
you know, like what you're saying, I think is just such a common thing, particularly in the time that we're living in. We all, most people believe, you know, what's going on, what are the numbers, how many cases, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, if you think about the original design, we're not meant to know what's going on the other side of the world, you know, or even on the other side of the country, because
No.
you know, that just, it's that whole idea of my business, your business, and God's business. You know, just stick and fill your cup and do what you need to do, stick with your stuff, you know. So JP, I think I'd love to dive in now a little bit about, you know, what it is that you discovered, you know, with you being in the coaching. What was the obvious thing that you saw with the style of coaching, you know, with the principles? What were the key learnings that you got out of, you know, what we did with your coaching?
Okay. Something that I can use as a bridge between what we were just talking about, the news. It's something that I discovered was that when I remember you put me on a news diet for a week, and I had anxiety. No, this is terrible. What is going to happen? And all of these things. And I think I checked the news once for 3 minutes one day in the whole week. But what created was space in my mind to actually be present to what was going on around me, to be present to my wife, to my daughter, to my clients, to my team, more present to what was occurring and in the present, right? So that was for me was like, there we go. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And even present to myself.
Awareness, like a self-awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah, like you're saying, there was more room in your head. Your whole headspace wasn't taken up with things that had no relevance to your immediate life and your present moment.
Correct.
So, yeah. So what did that lead to for you? You know, what became different for you through understanding that you were a little bit calmer and quieter? What sort of unfolded for you once you got that understanding and that discovery that you said?
First of all, awareness on the role of thoughts, of my thoughts in my life, right? The thoughts are a let's say, survival / preservation mechanism where our mind is always thinking, how can we survive, or how there's a threat and how can I react? And it could be as simple as just being defensive about a comment, or it could be about worrying about something that hasn't happened. So the role of my mind and that my mind is not me, right? And my thoughts is not me. It doesn't define me.
Right.
When I was on that news diet, the other thing that I discovered, came aware of is myself. I've been was so busy for so many years, then all of a sudden, I came present to myself. There you are. It's that guy that was going to college, and then this happened and this happened. So it was a separation between my thoughts and what's going on in my mind with my actual self, right? With who, right? And that was profound for me.
Wow. So I'm just loving the way that you've described that, JP, you know, that there was this separation, you know, that you discovered, and, you know, just freeing up some space in your head gave you an opportunity to be more present, even with yourself. And, you know, what have we been taught for all these years? You know, it's about there, and it's about those people and that stuff and that opportunity and all of that stuff that you've got to do out there. And what about what's happening in here? So, you know, it's just incredible what you discovered and the way that you are articulating it. And it reminds me a little bit of what Dee said this morning, you know, about you are not your trauma, Dee. And like you said, JP, you are not your thoughts. You are not. It's not always
No.
going to be the truth, you know. It's just a program, and to understand that is really, like you say, it's profound. I forgot I put you on that news diet. Thank you for reminding me. If you're a client of mine, guess what's happening to you this week? Okay, so what's different for you now? You know, like if you look at yourself now, and I know you've got some team members, you know, who you are now, as JP, you know, as in the company and so on, as compared to what you were then, you know, how would you describe that?
I feel I'm more present to myself and my the people that either, you know, my family or my friends or my team. I feel more present. Before I was very focused on what we need to do.
Oh, wow.
And that was the mission. Yeah.
So company owners that don't know this understanding would say, yeah, but that's the right way. You know, it should be about what's going on out there. What are you talking about? You know, present to yourself. How does that work? You know, so do you have a way of describing that? You know, if you're more present to yourself, and which means you can be present with other people, what happens because of that? What do you go through?
Well, it had to do with what you were pointing out, the separation between your thoughts and yourself, right? And I mean, yourself, your who you are. And if you have this chatterbox all the time, you know, talking to you, oh no, that what she meant was this, or maybe she's not happy with this, or he said this and this, that, you know, and what happened before was like this, maybe this is going to happen again, and la 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 la, and I forgot this, and I didn't say this, and so it was a crazy train of thoughts, you know, and when you separate yourself from, oh, okay, you're talking, but it's not you who's talking, it's your mind who's talking and telling you all of these things, or sending you red flags and all of those things, because the mind see that might be a threat somewhere, based on your insecurities, or based on your fears, or based on your past experiences, whatever that is, that mix is, it's constantly talking, right? So, and add to that, you know, your social, let's say, values of, oh, I need to work, I need to provide, and all of that. So it was always a busy mind in that side where I was busy with, you know, instead of, okay, this is, okay, I understand this is happening, but let me check with myself, right? And
wow. Check with myself, right?
Yeah, check with myself. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. And during coaching, something I did was I started meditating, and that's when I became even more aware of, okay, part of meditation is about quieting your mind, right? But well, kind of. But if you attempt to quiet your mind at one point, which is not the goal of meditation, but it is, when you quiet your mind for a second or two or five, what is happening, what I came present to was, this is my mind, but I'm still talking, and it's not my mind who's talking, it's myself who is saying things, but in a calmer, grounded, more connected way, which was not this chatterbox that was, and is sometimes my mind.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I don't know if it makes sense.
Totally, totally. You know, but what I'm sort of hearing you say is that, you know, it's you came to the understanding and the revelation. You could sense it. You were present to the fact that that wasn't you all the time. There was this other chatter going on, and when you quietened down, the chatter quietened down. So, in other words, the thoughts quietened down, which means you felt more calm, which means you opened up some space for new stuff to come in. And basically, meditation is that, you know, you're never going to have a quiet mind, but it's little gaps. I was talking about that this morning. It's almost like the gaps between the notes in music. music isn't just always about the sounds that are coming, it's the gaps between the notes, you know, that in that space, it's like that anticipation, and then it gets filled with fresh thinking. And after all,
Right.
if you can have some fresh thinking, you're not doing the same old, and Dee said that this morning, we all know this, you know, doing the same thing and expecting something new is the height of insanity. How can you change that? We all know this one. We intellectualize it, but I think what the understanding gives you, the style of coaching that I'm doing, is that it helps you to feel it. We're not intellectualizing, it's real. This is not just some idea or a concept. This is real. This is how life works. And it will come and it will go.
Yeah.
You know, so there's not a lot that you have to do. And it's the simplest thing in the world is when it happens, there it is, observe it, and let's just wait for it to go, you know, get out of the situation or whatever. Yeah, thank you, JP. I think, you know, the fact that you brought up the meditation is big for me. As you know, I'm a chronic, what I call a chronic meditator. I've got a chronic illness. It's called meditation. I have to have it every single day. It's like my medicine. So, why and how did the 3 P's help you to change? You know, the 3 principles we're talking about. And if you're new to this, you know, if you've coached with me, you'll understand it. If you've never heard about it, I'm going to ask JP to articulate that the best that he can. You know, what is it that you really understood about it?
Well, first of all, my mind, right? The role of my mind. The second thing was that I'm not in control.
Sure.
Right? I'm of the belief, right, that there is a higher power, right? And it could be God, and we have all sorts of, let's say,
labels
and names to what it is, right? And I respect them all, and to be honest, nothing wrong with that. But that's, well, what I consider the truth, or what I came aware of, is that I was not in control, which led me to the distinction with coaching was between willpower and coming from within, right? What I was doing before was willpower. I must do, I must do, I must do, and I must do, and push forward as hard as I can and keep going, right? Well, when you come to the understanding that it's not, you are not in control, right? Then things start to flow in a different way. Yeah, it's like going to the beach and, you know, trying to make the waves stop. You know, you can even build a wall, you know, and try, you know, for a little piece or part of the beach to, you know, hold the waves, you know, but eventually the waves will, you know, knock down the wall, right? So
great metaphor. Yes,
it's impossible to fight that or to be against it, or try to take away from, okay, no, I'm in control. I'll make sure I'll succeed, and I'll do this, and I'll get this, and I create it. Which actually, if you connect both things, having a space in your mind with you are not in control, then you have a very powerful mix where you know, there's a space for you to think, and it will come to you. It will come to you.
So JP, I know for some people they're hearing you are not in control, and they're like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm in control. I've got to do these things. It's up to me. You know, what would you say to them now that you know this, you know, because some people have never heard this and they're like, pardon? Now that you know, you thought you were in control. Now you realize you're not in control. And has anything happened to you because you understood that it's not up to you, but it's also not up to you, you know, that kind of idea? What would you say to them?
That's a good question. I think it has to do more with surrendering, right? Surrendering to a couple of things. One, what you are not in control of, because I'm not in control of, I mean, I can do my best to, let's say, go and give a presentation to a client, right? But that's all I can do.
Right.
I mean, I can persuade him and present something that is memorable and all of those things and do my best, but that's as far as I can go, right? If they decide to become a client or not become a client or buy the project or whatever that is not me being in control. So it's a part, so I would say it's a two-part thing for me, at least. Is surrendering to what you cannot control. And number two is connecting, being connected with your guest, right? With your, with what you already have. You were born with certain things, right? And you have those gifts to give to the world, and you have those gifts to use as tools, as you know, as ways to, you know, to make your contribution in the world.
Sure.
So
that's beautiful. Wow, I love that, JP. You have your gifts, and what you were saying is you've got to use them as tools, and all you can do is do what you can do, and the best that you can do it, with this understanding that what's meant to come to you will. You know, you don't have to white knuckle through this. You don't have to be gripped with anything. You can have fun with it. You can play with it, because it's the way that it works. And we've had it wrong. We've had it back to front. Now that you know that, JP, and I mean, I heard you earlier, we all heard you say, you've got more responsibility, you've got more work, there's more of everything, and yet there's less thinking. Now, how does that work for you? Let's hear what you say about that.
Because my mind is not, well, sometimes is, but it's since there is that separation between my thoughts and myself, then I'm not one. I'm not my thoughts. I'm myself, right? So since there is that separation, my thought can come and, you know, and come and go and bring all sorts of crazy hypothetical ideas, right? But where I have to, what I feel more connected with is with myself, right? So I'm not my thoughts anymore. I'm not, you know, what all the things that my mind is telling me could happen. It is like that all the time, or things like that are actually possibilities, but speculations. Right?
Speculations, yes. What a good word. Yeah.
Speculations for a situation that, you know, sometimes you have no control over. You know, this
Yeah, we were talking about that this morning as well, you know, and we were saying, you know, it might be like this, I could have, I would have, I should have, you know, all those things, instead of just being in the moment with that, you know, have your goals and your dreams. It's important, but it's not everything. Don't be attached to the outcome. You know, see the vision. It's important, but don't hold on to it so tightly that every single day you don't like the way things are going. You know, it's important to have a little bit of discipline and to have all of your ducks in a row, but it's not everything. You know, there's more flow, there's more dynamic, there's more playtime within those structures that can make life so much better. And you know, the way that you said it, the speculation, you know, we were taught that, you know, you've got to know what's going to happen. And I remember being trained as a salesperson and saying all of those, you've got to overcome the, what was the word they used to do? Objections. Overcome the objections. You've got to know every single thing about overcoming objections. My word, it was exhausting to try and remember that stuff. And then they'd come up with one I'd never heard before. And they're like, okay, now I'm buggered. What am I going to do now? But what I found, the way this works for me is, in the moment, if I'm present with me and I'm connected, it just comes, and it's the right thing at the right time. It's just incredible. Yeah. You can trust that. You can really trust that. Have you found that as well?
Yeah. And to be honest, it's uber simple. It's not something that I have to, you know, dance kumbaya every day, and you know, and well, in Denver we have dispensaries, so I can go and buy, you know, that whatever weed I had, no, or drink, nothing to do with any of that, or learning more and getting more training. It's nothing to do with any of that. It's actually connected with something that you were born with. We are all born with awareness, you know, and if not, you know, go and check out a toddler and see how aware is, you know. She's my daughter. I take her for a walk in the park, and then all of a sudden she spots an ant, and the walk comes to a standstill, and she's just focusing on the little ant.
Wow.
And she has thoughts and etc. Right, and the leaves and the wind and all of those things that we are born with. We are born with that awareness. But obviously, you know, education, that, you know, having, you know, goals and becoming someone, you know, one day, and becoming successful to social norms and all of those things put so much pressure on us that we focus on those things when we forgot about, you know, what
who we are,
right? And so it's as simple as that. It's not something to, like I said, you know, to get training on, to be trained on, to learn technique. And well, if this happened, you know, like positive thinking, you know, oh, you always think positively, and you know, blah, blah.
No, none of that.
I mean, well, how can I say it? Sometimes, you know, things are not going to look that pretty, but I mean, you cannot just replace, you know, let's say, grief with positive thinking.
No.
Right? You have to go through grief, and whatever that is, a loss of a loved one, or a loss of a relationship, or even loss of a client, or whatever. It's important or
to feel the feelings.
To feel the feeling, right? So that goes with emotion, right? Well, and it takes some time, and it's longer or shorter for depending on who you are, but
but you will survive it. You will come out of it. We're adaptable as humans. We're supposed to go through these things and come out. And, you know, if you can just have that sort of emotional resiliency, you know, that it's going to be okay. And that sort of psychological fitness, I'm going to be fine. I know this thing is going to get better. You know, and that's what I'm hearing you say in essence, JP. You know, you've come through a period and now you've seen something different, and things have improved. Everything has improved. And you didn't have techniques or tools. You didn't have to go on a course. You basically had to become aware of it. And my role for you, my job for you, was just to kind of, you know, take a few layers off, just keep looking. It's going to come. And eventually it did come. So what's, I mean, in your actual thinking, what did you think previously that you don't think now? You know, what were some of your belief systems then that are so different for now?
Well, maybe I'm sounding repetitive, but, you know, the belief that I you know, I had to you know, work hard, or the belief of that my reality was what I was thinking, right? And those, or I had to over deliver, or things like that, right? Those were beliefs that
you're not saying that we're going to sit back and it's all going to come. I know when you say your belief was to work hard, you're not saying, oh yeah, it's all just going to come flooding through the door and you've got nothing to do. I know that that's what you mean, but maybe you can qualify that for people when you know, the where you were with this, it's got to get done, and I'm going to work the whole night until I get it done, to where you are now. You know, can you speak to that a little bit?
What comes to mind is, I'm going to use an analogy, is I run in the morning, not every morning, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. I run early in the morning, like 6:30 I'm running. I enjoy the fresh air, and, you know, it gives me so many good things. Anyway, if you compare, you know, the let's say hard work and all of those things with running, you know, it's okay. Let's say, you know, I wake up, I stretch, and then I go, and I am, in my mind, I am going to run 5 miles, right? And that's the only focus that I have, and I'll push myself to my bare limit to get there. right? And probably I might be able to run the 5 miles, or maybe I'll stop. Or I said, I can't right now, it was too much of a goal, etc., etc. Continuing with the analogy, the difference is, how about if actually either you run or don't run that 5 miles, but you actually see the trees that you are running by. You see the other people who is running. You feel your breathing, and your breathing you can regulate in a way that you are not burning too much, energy at the beginning, and
Sure.
so you don't have a steam at the end, and you might not be able to finish. So to pace yourself, right? So that is a completely different experience, right? Being present to, okay, well, I'm running over gravel, I'm running over concrete, my knees are hurting a bit, instead of just pushing myself without being aware of any of that, not even the sky.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, we live in a culture where it's just go, 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 and get the badge, get the time. And people are basically hurting themselves both in their heads and their bodies with this idea, that they've got to achieve this certain thing. And it's wonderful to have goals. Again, I don't want to say you shouldn't. You must have goals. You must have something to aim for. You must have all your steps and your strategies and everything. But to be gripped in that place means that it's never going to come through for you in a pleasant and enjoyable way. One thing I've been reminded of, because as you know, I lost my sister on the 10th of April, and I had to drive her car to the airport last Thursday. And while I was driving her car, I had this unbelievably overwhelming feeling of, I just want to live, because my sister could have had more independence, and she died suddenly. She was alive, and in 30 minutes later she was gone. And it helped me to understand that there's no time to waste with not being joyful and living, because we have no clue. Who knew we would be in this situation with COVID? We didn't. So what's the point of trying to speculate what might happen? Because we're always going to be wrong. We may as well set the goals, go for it, and have fun along the way. So, what you're saying with the running and feeling the gravel and looking at the trees is, again, that level of awareness. And I'm willing to bet, and I'm not sure if I'm right, but you can tell me that in that space, probably new stuff comes to you that you would never have had come to you if you were so caught up in your head with getting to the end.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So finishing the analogy, I run better now.
There we go. So
I'm running faster than before, and
wow.
I'm not in the competitive side of I'm going to run a triathlon, and I mean, nothing wrong with any of that. It's not it's great. I would love to run compete on a triathlon one day, but now in this season of my life, probably it's not one thing that I could be able to add to my activities.
Ooh,
right?
That's a good distinction. I love that. Very good distinction. Yeah.
So yeah, for where I'm at with what I have, I am running better now.
Wow.
Basically I haven't had an injury in a while, and used to have injuries. I'm more, but it's not that it happened overnight, but it progressively happened to me. And I know this is a journey, and I have plenty more that I'm very excited to keep growing and learning. It's just that at least I'm not in that other crazy train of living, right? So that's what it is for me. I'm if I consider myself like a junior in many sense. So running for me probably is, I'm still a junior in many ways, recreational runner probably, but at least I'm enjoying it.
You're having fun with it.
more.
Yeah. And like you said, there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to go and do all those things, fantastic. But just have some fun with it, you know, be a little bit self-aware, which means that you're not going to be complaining about what you decided to do. You're going to really, you know, be in a place where, wow, this is really good. And you even do better. Yeah, that's what I found as well.
Yeah.
So what I'd love to sort of speak about what you now understand that's helped you to make sort of, you know, better decisions, high quality decisions, you know, high quality sort of moves around your work, your life. You know, do you feel like you've leveled up in those decision-making abilities and those ideas that you maybe use in your life and your work?
I will put it as having less in my mind, right?
Okay.
So if we let's say, you know, making a decision is like climbing up the stairs to go to the second floor, right? But if you use the analogy of, you know, of thoughts being physical exercise, right? And if I done plenty of exercise during the day, at the end of the day, if I want to climb that to the second, go up the stairs to the second floor, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be, I'm exhausted, right? And the same thing with my mind. If I have too many things in my head, and if I have, you know, a very, not busy mind, but a mind that has too many things to process and think about, your decision making are going to definitely not be the same as if you have slept well, and you have more clarity of mind, right? And the quality of your decisions will be, it will come easier. And
Yes.
Yeah, without, it could be anything. It could be, should I go, you know, for a bike ride, or, you know, water the plants, or whatever that is, the decision, right? But it's having less in your mind that will make those decisions very easy to
So that's what you're saying. It's the quality of the decisions are better just because there's less going on in your mind. So you're focusing on fewer things. You're more self-aware of those things. There's not this cluttered space. It's like having a mess around you. You don't know what to do. All your programs open on a computer and everything's slowing down. If you really want to optimize, have less on your mind and be more focused on just one or two things. Great. That's awesome. So JP, is there something you want to add? Because I'd love to open it up. If anyone's got a question or a comment, really, you know, just type it in the chat box, or just raise your digital hand, or just raise your hand. There's 9 of you. I can see you all. So is there something you would like to comment, or you'd like to ask of JP? And while we're waiting for that, JP, if you want to, if there's something else that you'd like to say, or, you know, add that you feel like we've missed that might help people on the call tonight.
I think, I think it's reiterating the fact that there's nothing to learn or to become, or it's more about just connecting with the essence of who you are, right? Since you already had at the time of when you were born. So nothing, I mean, nothing as simple as that. Nothing to do with joining a group, or no, it's just becoming more aware of a few things. That's all. And
beautiful.
And it's like, consider it like riding a bike. You know, when you learn to ride a bicycle, once you learn it, you know, okay, you got it, right? So 20 years later, you know, you are in a place where you have to ride a bike. You just grab the bike, and all of a sudden, you know, you start, you know, riding again. So
because it's built into you already. It's there already.
It's being there all the time. It's just that we have been, well, in my experience, I've been, if I talk of myself only, but that's what I see. You know, people are so distracted with their own responsibilities and social pressures that, you know, that that, yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing more than that. Yeah.
So I heard an interesting stat the other day. It said that currently, we hear and consume more information in a day than humans used to consume in their lifetimes 100 years ago.
That's crazy.
You know, there's just so much coming at us all the time with our devices and, you know, TV and screens and so on. I mean, just think about that. I don't think we're designed for that. So I love how we have come to this place now where we are unlearning. We're taking off those layers. We're going back to who we really are, and we're all finding our way. And I think, you know, if there's one thing that's come out of COVID and where we find ourselves, it's to get a little bit more simple, is to get a little bit more real. And for those people that have to pivot, you're going to go and find that thing that you were meant to do, which is beautiful because you don't have a choice. And I think that's pretty awesome as well. Anyone?
Yeah.
I saw Deveshni gave you a little clap there for what you said there. What was that about? You wanted to say something, Dee? Yeah.
Hello, Sha. Thank you so much, Sharon, and thank you so much, JP, for sharing and just being so real. I have a question. I know you mentioned about the pressures, and especially as a man, feeling like you need to take care of everyone and your family, etc. So when in your coaching did you start to feel comfortable letting that go? When did the shift happen? Was it something that Sharon said to you, anything in particular that kind of struck a chord and you were like, okay, I can let this go now? Or was it more gradually? How did that happen?
What a great question.
Yeah, great question. It's not I think it was more of letting go of that belief, right? That like I said, you know, sometimes it's the other way, or both partners are working hard, etc. But it was letting go of that, let's say, self-validation belief that if I work hard, right? Oh, it's the honorable thing to do, right? To work hard and provide for your family and all of those things that, I mean, yeah, I mean, I still work, but like I still, you know, go for runs, right? I'm not advocating for stop working and wait for, you know, something to come to you, or for me, you know, in the mornings, stop running and you'll see how, you know, how far you're going to run. No, and I mean, we still have to run and we still have to go and do our things, but it's how we go about it, right? And yeah, no, yeah, letting go, I would say, of that belief that was not serving me or my family or my health. Yeah.
So in the letting go, what I heard you say earlier, you know, just to tag onto Dee's question, was letting go actually helped you to do more and get more and be more. You know, it was letting go of the idea of it, freeing up the mind and just getting more going on for you that was really valuable, rather than all of the cluttered stuff that was not valuable at all.
It's a very ingrained cultural belief for certain cultures, for sure. And there's no judgment about it, but there are certain things that are more self-serving than others, and even you know, and that's on one side, you know, and so it could be a social belief, you know, that the guy must have to blah blah blah, right? And also not only in society but also in religion, right? You know, oh, this is the role of the man and the role of the woman, and there are things that are actually don't support growing, let's say. Right?
There we go. Yes.
And that belief was not supporting me growing. And
I just want to tell you, JP provides extremely well for his family. And he's, you know, he's got a wife and a young child and another child in New York, so he provides. So, you know, I just don't want people to think, well, it is an honorable thing to do, but it's honorable for all people to do it, not just for men. you know, if you want to do it, you do it. And I like that a lot. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Dee?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And I see we have some comments as well in the chat box.
Yeah. Okay. My chat box seems to have disappeared. So do you want to? Oh, there we go. I got it back. Okay. Darren, I love the idea of the news diet. It allows you to create your own reality and not allow others to dictate how you should feel or react. Awesome, Darren. Guess what you're doing tomorrow?
Oh, that's great. I'm very excited for you, even though we haven't met. But yeah, you are going to see that there is room for another sin.
Thank you, JP, for reminding me of that one. And Kathy says this is like a refresher course for me. Oh, lovely, Kathy. I'm so happy to have you. So is there anyone else? Because I'm going to sort of close off. Is there anything you want to add, JP? We've got just a little bit of time. Is there something you'd like to add on the end?
No, well, yes, just to give it a, try it, try it, well, look it up, chat with Sharon about it to continue this conversation, but yeah, just explore a little more on that, on simple things like, having less in your mind, or
right. It's so simple.
Or considering, separating, what your thoughts are with your actual self. It's just exploring or just looking it up online and and learn a little bit more about that.
Great. Well, I would love to, explore it more with any of you. And I think most of you have coached with me. Obviously, that some people, new people that I don't know, Cindy and Tiffany, obviously you've got a leader there that can help you with that. But, I've got the coach, the Conversations with Sharon coming up next week, Monday. It's a 3-week program. Every day we meet and there's a little drip feed, drip, 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 drip every single day. And I find that it sort of cuts away at the old stuff and it starts giving you some new, fresh thinking. And it's a beautiful container. It's a safe container for people to get together and open up and share, So if anyone's interested, it's all over social media. You can look on my website. You can send me a private message and I will definitely get back to you with information. If you'd like to join that. Deveshni's been on it, obviously. Ryan, Darren's coaching, Audrey's coached, Kathy's coached, JP's coached. So it is a wonderful journey if anyone wants to know any more. So thank you, JP. Wow, just so incredible having you all the way across from Denver. There's another little comment, loads of identification. Thank you, JP. You spoke wonderfully to the mental hamster wheel. That psychological freedom and better quality decisions without the clutter is awesome. Thanks again. Best wishes, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh,
super,
my pleasure,
super
Ryan.
comment. Yeah, it was great. And that's what I wanted. I wanted some fresh perspective from somebody who's done the entire coaching course for for all the time that you did, that can, allow people to open up a little bit more and, see where they want to go to with this. And thank you again, JP. It was really awesome. You took time out of your day today to be with us. I really appreciate everybody being here. This would not be possible if you didn't show up. Thank you to Dee for being the co-host and doing all the muting and unmuting. And we're just a few minutes after. Thank you for waiting. So, Dee, if you want to unmute everybody and let's have a nice big warm goodbye and a thanks from everybody. Can we get them all unmuted?
Thank you, JP. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.
That's so nice.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Best
guys.
wishes. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Dee, we can end the recording.
Okay, awesome.
Got your
I
recording.
think since you're the one that started, or maybe then you can end it only, because I don't think it was, because it doesn't give me the end recording option.
Oh.
Oh no, hold on. Here we go. Here it is.
You got it.